Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Nicola Probyn, the co-founder of the Africa Scotland Business Network. And along with the other founder, Claire Alexander, we are delighted that you've made time to join us today. So I think today's session is so pertinent, and we are absolutely delighted that Rebecca Bonnington from Tricres has given us an hour of her time today to take us through how you can actually increase the value of your business right now. Obviously, with COVID, a lot of businesses are struggling in terms of revenue, in terms of sales. And what Rebecca is going to give you is a very practical guide to steps that you can take right now to increase the value of your business, should you decide to sell it at some stage. But this is something that everyone can action. Rebecca is a member of the network, and she's kindly extended the invitation to our network as well as our community. So for those who don't know the network, I'm going to very quickly just go through who we are and what we do, because Rebecca has so much to cover in this 1 hour. I don't want to take any of her time. So the Africa Scotland Business Network, we founded in November last year. We've got about 60 member companies at the moment, so it's growing really rapidly, which is extremely exciting for us. I'm not going to kind of go into too much detail. If anyone is interested in what we do, please do connect with us. But essentially, our purpose and our reason for being is to help our members grow their businesses through networks and access to resources. We're also very focused on helping facilitate investment in Africa, as well as growing African businesses and entrepreneurs, both in South Africa, in Africa, and extending into the UK and Scotland. I'm sure you're all part of many business networks. And just, a couple of things on this slide that makes us different. But the things that we are, particularly proud of is our diversity. We have a huge range of businesses in the network. We are independent. That means that we get to do what's right for our member businesses. And we are very partnership focused. So working closely and in alliance with Scottish Government, South African Government, private enterprises. But anyway, I am not going to spend too much more time unpacking that. But if you'd like more info, you know how to get in touch with us. This is our founding members. So it's not just myself and Claire heading up the network. We have 10 founding members, all business people, a lot of entrepreneurs, and they bring enormous value to our members and the partnerships and the trade exchange deals that we work on. This is us at our launch party, having a couple of whiskeys, as you do. And this is us in our business attire when we're not drinking whiskey. So we've got, you can just see from there, we've got a huge range of expertise and skill set that, as I said, bring enormous value to the network. So we're enormously grateful for our wonderful founding members. Now, as I mentioned, we've got some of our members today, and I just wanted to do a very quick shout out to our members who've made time to join us today and invest this time, which will be a fantastic investment, let me assure you. So we've obviously got Rebecca Bonnington, our speaker today from Tricres. We've got Gary from 3IS, Andre from Bright Rock, Catherine from BackaBuddy, Nick from SJ Group, Karen from Pentagon, Alan from Empire Consultancy Solutions, Patrick from The Experientialist, Tom from Global Wealth, Karen from Medipod, and Melanie from Edinburgh Business School. Thanks, guys, and thanks again for joining us. So before I hand over to Rebecca, I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of context around who she is and what she does. She has got a glowing CV and has had a fantastic career. So this is just a quick snapshot. So Rebecca is, as I mentioned, the CEO of Tricres. She's a business consultant and she trains high growth entrepreneurial businesses. She's an executive coach and an author. She's got lots of fancy letters after her name, including MSc Coaching, NLP, licensed trainer, etc., etc. And she's clearly very well qualified to take us through this today. She founded Tricres in 2018 And she, as I mentioned, she works with with growth companies, large corporates and startups to develop their people and their leadership teams. And she also coaches top executives at a global bank. So thank you very much, Rebecca, again for your time today. And I can't wait to hear what you have to share with us.
That's an absolute pleasure.
Sorry, Rebecca, before I hand over to you, just another thing that Rebecca and Tricres have very, very kindly offered the network members a special deal on her courses. So for access to pretty much most of their courses, I think it is, which are worth £1,485,000, which is just shy of 29,000 rands in today's exchange rate. You can access that for £25 a month, which is a terrific deal. And we will be sending more information out about that after the session, but it will also enable you to attend her free webinars, which will be launching in August. So no further ado, I'm going to hand over to Rebecca.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Nicola, and good afternoon, everybody. So I've been in business since 1999, and I've run a variety of businesses. And when I ran my business back then, I really struggled to find a business coach or consultant who had been there, done that, and got the t-shirt. I could find business coaches and consultants who'd spend their lives in big corporates, but quite frankly, they couldn't even find their own paper clips, never mind help an entrepreneurial business find and navigate their way through growth. So what I set out to do in 2008 onwards was to really skill myself up to understand how to help business leaders like me. So I was frustrated, I was stuck, I didn't have the right systems or processes in place, I was overworked, I wasn't making the right kind of decisions, and actually ultimately, do you know what, that left me with no business. So at the end of 2008, don't know whether any of you remember, but there was a very big financial crash. And I closed my recruitment business. I had grown it to $1 million turnover, several offices, and we were doing really well. I had additional businesses in the Scottish Legal Awards. I closed it all and walked away because actually my heart wasn't in the business anymore. And I spent the next 10 years skilling myself up, getting all these fancy qualifications, working with a variety of other business organizations, helping entrepreneurs grow their teams, their leadership skills, get better at delegating, all of those. And what that culminated in about 2.5 years ago was me designing a set of models and frameworks that were simple, easy to follow, and that any business owner at any stage in their business could apply and have practical results and climb their way out of some of the conundrums and the questions that I had found myself in all those years ago. So what I've done is I've created a suite of courses that, as Nicola says, you now can have access to for £25 a month. And actually the program is your 10 steps to a $10 million business. Now, does that mean that you have to make $10 million in revenues? No, it doesn't. And what I'm going to show you today is about how you can build the value into your business so that your business ends up being worth $10 million or more. There's no limit to your ambitions without you having to build revenues for $10 million. Now, the 10 steps is, I say, a program, and that's what my webinars are going to be about over the coming months, and there'll be one a month. So at the end, when you get an email from Nicola and the team, there'll be a Facebook link. I want you to join the Facebook page because all the information will be on there, and you'll be subscribing, so you'll also get email notifications as well. Okay, so without further ado, how do you build this value into your business? And what I also want to make clear is that a lot of business coaches and consultants want to surround their IP, their models and frameworks in mystery. And actually, I don't believe in that. I believe in just sharing that information so as many business owners can access it as possible and as cheaply and cost effectively as possible. Now, clearly the courses on the platform are a DIY, do it yourself. The live webinars will help you guide through those. And then obviously there are further there's further coaching and helping help that you can get as you go further up the chain. Okay, so here it is. This is what was hidden from me for years and the stuff that I wish I had known and didn't know. All right. So it doesn't matter whether you're sitting here now with no revenue, £500,000 in revenue, £5 million in revenue. It really, really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you're already at 25 million in revenue. These principles apply to all businesses in all sectors, in all countries. Okay, there are a set of principles. So it's building the value as you grow, and this was the equation that was hidden from me for years, and it's hidden from most people who run a business. It's also not talked about by your accountant, okay? And it's not because they're daft or they don't know what they're doing or anything like that. It's just not something that is considered. So your accountant, and we'll talk about what a good finance person does in a minute, but your accountant doesn't focus on the value because they're focusing on the profit, and rightly so. You've got to have profit in your business. And when I go and work with a business, the first thing I say to them is, have you got a really good financial brain in your business? Now, if you haven't, go and get one, okay? Even if you get a good financial brain in your business for an hour a month, they will be worth their weight in gold. I spent yesterday going through our business model with a really, and he won't mind me saying this because I've told him to his face, with a really geeky, data-driven, numbers-driven accountant. And I've said, these are the 6 numbers, or I want you to identify the 6 numbers that my business needs to focus on in order to make it work. So he's gone away to do that. So I advise you to do that first, okay? I don't do spreadsheets. I hate spreadsheets. What I focus on with businesses, and what I want you as a business owner to focus on once you've sorted that financy bit out, is the multiple. And it's the multiple that's the juice in your business. Now, this is what the corporate finance community talk about. This is what the people who buy and sell businesses talk about. The investment bankers talk about. It's the multiple. And this is the bit, if you've ever wondered why Uber is valued at billions of dollars but has never made any profit, it's the multiple, okay? That's the bit that counts. Now, this is the piece of the jigsaw that I'm now going to unpack for you so you can understand precisely what steps you need to take in your business to increase that multiple. Okay. What I'd also like to say is that if you have any questions as we go along, type them into the Q&A box. And I know we've got the ASBN team checking the Q&A box, okay? So if you want to know anything, just ask as we go along. Okay, so talked about the accountant. Most SME business owners, entrepreneurs, just focus on these things, which is I call the below the line. So here's the pink line, pink squiggly line, and they focus on cost management. So reducing, managing costs. They focus on the economic engine, which is increasing sales, increasing sales, increasing sales. And they tend to get a little bit obsessed with that to the point where they forget about a whole load of other stuff. And they think about asset management. Absolutely fine. What assets you've got in the business, how to control those, manage those. Manage liabilities. You know, who owes you what money, what are the risks in the business, that kind of thing. Economic and political landscape. Well, we've just had a beautiful example of that piece of the jigsaw that's completely outside of your control. You know, nobody saw this coming. And no business I know, apart from if you're in cybersecurity, had prepared for a pandemic, okay? I think financial services probably had, but most SMEs hadn't. Most of the time, SME business owners are just focusing on this, okay? And it feels like you're on a hamster wheel. It feels like you're not necessarily making the progress that you want to make. It feels often very frustrating. It feels like you're not fulfilling your potential or the potential of the business, because it's very inward looking, okay? And whilst these are things that you need to definitely have control of in your business, as the business owner, you need to be looking upwards and outwards much, much more and building the value into your business, okay? So don't ignore these things, but they're not the whole focus of your attention. So if I give you an example, things like cost management, asset management, management of liabilities, probably is something that you need to focus on, I don't know, a couple of hours a month to make sure they're under control, and delegate that kind of responsibility to somebody else while you build the business. The economic engine, so your revenue cycle control, again, you need to keep an eye on it, but as a business owner, you need to find ways to improve that rather than doing the same things over and over and over again, because you just end up with the same results. All right, so this is what strong, long-term, high-value businesses focus on. And this is the piece of the jigsaw that when you talk to corporate financiers, they look at these intangibles, and you'll talk to any accountant, they'll say, but they're not on the balance sheet. And you're right, these things are not on the balance sheet. They are intangible assets, because it's actually quite difficult to value some of these. There are some core exceptions. So Coca-Cola's brand architecture, for example, is worth billions, right? That does sit as an asset on their balance sheet, but I'm guessing none of you are Coca-Cola yet, okay? So generally these are intangible assets. But what these do is when you value your business, and it doesn't matter whether you think I'm never going to sell this, okay? This is my baby, I'm never going to sell this. Well, here's some sort of headline news for you. You can't run it forever because you're not going to live forever, all right? At some point, you're going to need to have some kind of exit from your business, okay? And that might be because you retire, because quite frankly, you drop dead, or you want to hand it over to the next generation, or it's time to hand it down to the managers in your business as a reward for all the loyal service. At some point in time, you will not be in your business, and you will want to have maximum value from all the efforts you've made over the years from your business. Most SME business owners I know say, oh, I've not bothered with a pension because my business is my pension. And when they get to that stage where they're ready to exit, they're sorely disappointed by the value that's put on their business. And I come to them quite often at that stage, and they'll say, my business has only been valued at £500,000 or £1 million. That's not enough for me to have the kind of retirement or lifestyle I'd always dreamed of. That's certainly not representative of the blood, sweat, and tears I've put into my business and the sacrifices I've made over the years to build this business. And it's upsetting and disappointing. I'm here to help you avoid that situation. I don't want that to happen to any of you, okay? So when you build value into your business, if you think about this, every business has kind of an average value, if you like. So let's take a recruitment business, because that's the industry I came from. At the time I was running a recruitment business, those were valued at 3 times the profit in the business. So say you're making £100,000 profit, you would get a valuation of £300,000. That's very, very straightforward, okay? Now, your key to building a high value business is bucking the trend of that average multiple. Okay, so in a recruitment business, if you build on these steps that I'm going to talk to you about in a sec, you can have up to 7 times the average valuation of your business, which means you'd get 7 times 3, 21 times 100,000. Now, suddenly, that's a whole different number, that's a whole different ball game, and that's a whole different lifestyle after you exit your business. Okay, if you're the sort of person who thinks, no, Rebecca's wrong, I'm going to be running this forever, I am immortal, I never want to sell it, that's absolutely fine. You can still do this, because building value into your business actually makes it a stronger, more sustainable business, which means that when things like global pandemics come along, you are much more able to weather the storm. So I was doing a calculation today. 80% of the clients I work with, whilst they have seen a reduction in revenues during lockdown, have remained consistent, have kept their core clients, have kept their teams, and are able to come out fighting much stronger because they've put some of this stuff in already. And in fact, I had a quote from one of my clients saying, if we hadn't done the work with you before lockdown, there is no way we would have gone into lockdown in the smooth and efficient manner that we did, and there's no way we'd be coming out of it now in the efficient manner we've done. So this stuff works. Okay, so what do you focus on? What you focus on is your team, your talent, the quality SMT, so the quality of your senior management team, the culture, and the habits and housekeeping. I call strategies habits and housekeeping. Let's unpack those slightly. Without a culture, and one of the courses on the platform is Culture as a Foundation for Growth. Without that, you lose direction. Okay, you don't know what you stand for, you don't know who your clients should be, you don't know where your market is, you don't know who you're speaking to, you don't know who you should be attracting. Now, this is your purpose, your vision, your values. Some organizations think, well, that's just fluff, that's nice to have. But let me tell you, without putting those foundations in, when you get something like a global pandemic, you are blown so far off course that it's really hard to come back. Okay, so the talent is attracted to your business by the fantastic culture, and there you're able to build a fantastic senior management team because people stay, they want to work with you, you get great talent, and you create great strategies, which is your habits and housekeeping. And because I'm demystifying business consulting, strategy is just a plan. That's it. It's just a fancy word for a plan. What you plan to do and then do it. Okay. Once you've got those foundations in place, it becomes a lot easier to innovate. So if you imagine as a business owner, most SMEs, everything has to come through the owner of the business. They are often the key blockage to growth. If one person is having to make all the decisions on everything, then they're just going to block the growth, okay? They also end up doing the role of the technician, the manager, and the visionary. And that's no good. As a business owner, if you want a high value business, you want to move out of that technician and manager role as quickly as you can into the visionary role. I call it sitting on top of the mountain. Okay. And in order to do that, you need these quality people, have a great culture. Once you move into that visionary role, you're much more able to innovate. You're much more able to have head space and time to sit on top of the mountain and go, right, where are we going? What do we need to think about? What are the opportunities that are open to us in the future? But without that base there, you've not got a cat and hell's chance of being able to do that properly and efficiently. You'll try and 1,000,001 things, none of them will work. You go, well, this isn't working, I need to go back to doing. You need to move out of doing, build the culture, get the team, move up from there. Okay. The other thing is, once you've got the culture, the purpose, vision, and values right, you know which area you need to innovate in. You know what's going to work for your business and what to reject and what to accept. And that's the same that goes to product and service extension. If you think about, let's take Coca-Cola as a really good example. It's a product-based business. It's not a service-based business. And they have extended that with Cherry Coca-Cola, with Diet Coke, with Coke Zero, you name it. They've extended that product to extend their range. Small to medium-sized businesses can do that. But one of the first things you have to understand is whether you are a product or a service-based business, okay? And the easy test for that, if you're a product-based business, that you're doing transactions, you don't know the name of your clients or customers, pets or children, you don't know where they go on holiday. If you're a service-based business, it's a much longer term sale. You tend to know what their lives are about, and your clients and customers tend to come to you for advice that actually isn't related to your core business. So make that decision first, and then you can extend products and services. The interesting thing about that is most businesses will have a core function, if you like. So they'll lead with the product or they'll lead with a service, but they'll have additional things. We call them focus and shoulders. They'll have additional things. So if we take my consulting business, we've pivoted from a service-led business now to a product-based business, because our courses are online. We've got bundles of courses, we've got webinars, we've got packages. So on the webinars that we're going to be running, there's going to be tens, if not hundreds of people on them. I won't know the names of all their pets or children. I won't have time to do that. So that's more of a product-based business, okay? But we've repositioned and redesigned our offering to do that. All right, so that's something to get clear. New channels to markets, partnerships, and joint ventures. Again, as the owner, your head isn't clear, you've not got enough headspace to think about these things, you're not seeing opportunities on the horizon, these things will come and pass you by because you literally can't see them. You're too busy still in the weeds being the technician, okay? Those kind of new channels to market, partnerships and joint ventures are the things that are going to open things up for you, open the world up for you, literally. And I see, I'm working with ASBN and Claire and Nicola and the team now. This is opening things up for me because I had a strategy of a product business that could go global, came across them, thought, right, they're a great team to be involved with to get the word out there. You see how this works? Brand architecture. All right, what does that mean? It does not mean just a logo. Now, the team at ASBN also happen to run a cracking branding marketing agency. So if you want to understand that, go and talk to them. And understand that your tone of voice, how you communicate with your marketplace, how you send information out, how you portray yourself, the imagery you use, all feeds all the way back down to here in culture, which is why this is such an important foundation. The culture here is your internal promise to your own customers and your own team, but also your external promise to your customers and clients. And it's seen here right at the top. So let's take an example, a great example of brand architecture, Apple. Everybody knows Apple. When you interact with Apple, you get the same kind of language, feeling, and experience at every point of interaction, whether it's opening your new iPhone box at home alone, or whether it's walking into an Apple store, or whether it's phoning them, okay? That's brand architecture. That takes time to build, and you have to have a solid culture in place. Scalability. All of these things then mean it's easier to scale. So let's take the example of a business owner that perhaps does want to exit and retire to the hills or buy the yacht or whatever it is, start a farm, doesn't matter, start a school. Somebody coming along will say, how can this business operate without you, the owner, being in it? Okay, These things need to be in place, and that will add value. If you take yourself out of the business, be really, really honest, how easy would it be for your business to survive right now? Okay, I'm going to be really honest with you. If you took me out of my business, it wouldn't survive right now. So I'm busy building this into Tricres. I built it into my recruitment business by accident. I didn't do it on purpose because I didn't know this stuff then. And it no longer relied on me being the main fee earner and biller in the business, which was how I was able to grow it. But I didn't do it with these structures in place. And so I didn't have the culture right. I didn't have the senior management team in place. And so it didn't work out, okay? So that's really important to understand and be really honest with yourself. Now, none of this is done overnight, okay? And this is the journey, okay? This is the classic business journey. This takes months, years to build in, but taking the first step is really important. And many of you will be sitting there going, oh, Rebecca, I just haven't got time. I just need money through the door right now. Things are really difficult. Totally agree. I have been there, done that, worn the t-shirt, you know, stayed awake at night worrying about where the next, you know, £100 is coming from, £1,000 is coming from, whatever it happens to be. However, when you start focusing on these things, something really interesting begins to happen. And that is you begin to attract more easily and more readily the kind of business that really suits your business and is therefore much more profitable, much more easy to deal with, and much more scalable, okay? I have been there running around trying to find scraps of day rate consulting work, scraps of coaching, and it never works out because those people haven't valued what I do. I've not enjoyed it. I've not done my best work, and it's just not worked out. When I've sat back and taken stock and worked on these things, start attracting the right clients. Something very interesting happened in the last couple of weeks. I attracted a fantastic US client, my first international, truly international client. They've not even questioned how much I'm charging. They've not even questioned it because I've been focusing on my strategies, the culture's embedded, and I've been focusing on the innovation as well. This is a ladder. These things need to go in this order. Okay, you can't scale without having these in place. You can't have great brand architecture without having these in place. You have to do it in that order. Now, do you have to do one after the other? No, you merge into one, but you've got to focus on these things first before you start even thinking about this bit. Again, what's very interesting is once you start focusing on these bits, the innovation, the product and service extension starts to just unfold. It becomes easier. I'll give you an example. Do we have time? Yes, we do have time for an example. So I was working with a client, happened to be in the legal sector. They were running around like headless chickens. They had high revenues, but their profitability was going down. So their revenue was going up and their profitability was going down. So what were they doing? They'd not got clarity on who they stood for as a business, who they were for as a business, and they'd not got clarity on, they'd got a really good senior management team, but they'd not got clarity on what those individuals did on that team, what their purpose was on that team. They'd not got clear on roles and responsibilities, on heads of functions. As soon as they got their culture, their purpose, vision and values in place, and then work with them to do something that I call players on the pitch, getting the right people in the right roles, doing the right jobs, those are the people that were then able to cope with lockdown much more easily, because everybody was crystal clear on what their role was and which bit of the business they were responsible for during that chaotic time at the beginning of lockdown. Okay, and that's a real live example. They started making profits, and even though their revenues have dropped, they're still making more profits than they were when their revenues were increasing, because they finally got in control of how they're running the business. Now, what this does for business owners who are currently feeling pretty stressed and overwhelmed is give you that clarity and headspace. It gives you more freedom. It actually gives you more time. Ironically, spending time on this ends up giving you more time. That sounds like a complete contradiction, but it's absolutely true. So anybody who's sitting there thinking, well, Rebecca, I haven't got time for this, I need to get revenues in. Okay, that's just not true. That's just a belief. All right, if you choose to believe that, you'll always remain stuck. If you choose to believe something else, you'll be able to move forward with this. Okay, these are the steps. Okay. Culture we've talked about, talent we've talked about. Start building your brand, okay, as you've got the culture and talent sorted. If you're not building it already, then you'll be able to start innovating, looking at different channels to market. And what I've put sales in here, you're obviously selling throughout, but what this stage 6 is that sales really, really begin to flourish. I'm not going to say effortlessly, because you still need to take effort, but it's easier to find the right sales and the most profitable sales in your business once all these things are in place. Now, some people are going to say to me, look, do you know, Rebecca, I know some really successful businesses who've not done any of this. You can always find the exception. Maybe they had a particular piece of technology or IP or methodology that they'd hit upon and somebody was prepared to pay over the odds for. Great, good luck to them, absolutely fantastic. You can always find the exception. However, the vast majority of businesses don't have that, and the vast majority of businesses need to put this effort and work in to create that high value business. Now, I'm hoping that you can see this is a process, that it doesn't happen overnight, and it takes you as the business owner and leader to make a decision to go, right, what kind of business do I want? What kind of legacy do I want to leave? What kind of team do I want? And what do I want to be proud of when I no longer run this business, or I sell it, or I hand it over to the next generation, or whatever it happens to be? And that's only a decision that you can make. And the key question is, or the key statement actually is, what got you to where you are now today will definitely not get you to where you want to go. You've got to do something differently. I know this stuff works. I use it every day with clients. I'm now sharing it with as many business owners as I can across the world, because I think it's really important they get this. Because actually what this does is not only create wealth for you, it creates wealth for your teams, your suppliers, your communities. It creates really great places for people to work. And if people are happy at work, then you get happier communities, more fulfilled societies. So there's an altruistic reason for me wanting to share this, because I actually think it creates a virtuous cycle for us all. Okay, so I'm going to throw it over to you, because I think we've got quite a lot of time for questions. So I'm going to stop sharing there and find out if we've got any questions from anybody.
Thank you, Rebecca. That was really fascinating. I was busy scribbling all my notes down madly. Okay. So if anyone has any questions, just pop them in the Q&A box, or just put I think that's the most.
What I'm going to do, Nicola, is I'm going to just pop up another PDF that is going to be contained in the big PDF that people get at the end of this. And I'm just going to go through some of the questions that they need to be asking themselves as business owners. Let me go and look that up for you, because I think this is going to be quite useful, because you're going to have this in your inbox and you're going to think, oh yeah, that was a great webinar, you know, an hour well spent, fantastic, and then kind of do nothing about it. And I really don't want you to do that. Okay, I really don't want you to do that, because that would be a waste of your time. What I want you to do is take action, because action will lead to results. So I'm just going to share my screen with the full PDF that you're going to get. And I'm just going to show you the first task that I want you to do when you leave this call. Okay, so when you get the PDF, I want you to go through this growth accelerator audit. You're going to get this for free. Okay. And I want you to ask some really tough questions about your business. I want you to get really honest, okay? Because it's only by being honest that you're going to get to some proper answers. And the first is, let's look at the culture. And you can give yourself a score out of 10 here. And, you know, do you have a clear purpose for your business? If you're not clear or understand what purpose is, go and watch the Simon Sinek Start With Why TED Talk. It's been watched by about 49 million people. And when you sign up to the platform, there's a link to it in the Growth Accelerator course. Do you have a clear mission and vision for your business? And that's kind of the next 10 years. Do you know where you want to be in 10 years' time? Do you have a clear set of values for your business? And I don't just mean some pretty words on a mouse mat or a mug or on the wall going, oh yes, we're all about people and we've got integrity and blah, blah, blah. I mean, are you living and breathing your values, and are you making decisions according to your values? I think we've got some questions I saw pop up there. Nicola, are there any that we can answer right now before I go through any more of this?
I mute myself. So we've got a question from Gary Graham.
Okay.
He says, thanks, Rebecca, for the insights. What's the potential blind spot, if any, with this approach?
Haha, right. Okay. So yeah, I love that. Johari's window, the blind spot, the thing we don't know. Okay, that's why I've designed this Growth Accelerator audit form. When you go through this, I think what you'll find with some of the questions that I've laid out here is you'll find one of them or a few of them you go, crikey, I never even thought about that. Okay, I've not considered it, I've not thought about it, or I maybe thought about it once upon a time, but I've not thought about it for years. That's your blind spot. The questions here are designed to help uncover that. If you still haven't uncovered that by going through the questions, what I would do is actually ask somebody outside of the business and say, do you know, is there something we're not doing? Or ask one of your core customers or clients, is there something we're not doing that you wish we did do? Or is there a way we could operate that we're not operating? That helps uncover a blind spot as well. Thanks for that, Gary. Nice question. Yeah. Next question.
Thank you. Then we've got one from Kevin Phillips. Gary's got another one, but we'll get to Kevin's first. So Kevin says, thanks for the insight, makes solid sense. Many IT companies in particular are valued on customer base, turnover, not profit.
Yeah.
Makes no sense to my Scots accounting mind. Examples, you mentioned Uber, and there are many, many more. They're all driven on funding phases based on negative profits.
Yeah. So yeah, each industry sector has its own way of being valued. And yeah, if you take something like a law firm or an accountancy practice, it's reoccurring fee income. So if you, if you think about that as your baseline average valuation, so your customer base in your IT company gives you the average valuation. The stuff you do over and above that will add a multiple to that average valuation. So you've got a customer base of 1,000, which means you're going to get, I don't know, 10 grand, for example, or £1 million, whatever the going rate is for an IT business. If you can build those other elements of your business in, then suddenly that customer base of 1,000 might be worth 2 million because you've got all the other elements in place. The next part of the question is about investing businesses. Those businesses that get round of investment after they're investing in the potential of that business. What they're usually investing in is actually the data or the systems that sit behind that business. So if you take something like Uber, can you imagine the data that Uber have got? Okay, how people behave, how many journeys they take, what they pay, where they go, that, you know, they've got penetration into all kinds of marketplaces just with that data, which is why Facebook got a massive valuation, because they've got tons of data, very detailed data on customer bases, which, as we all know, is invaluable to advertisers. So it's often not the front end that the public see where the value sits, it's the stuff behind, and that's your innovation. That's the bit that the business has gone, right, this is how we can innovate, this is how we can extend our service or product, because we've got this information behind us. Hope that answers that question.
Thanks, Rebecca. And then we've got another one from Gary. So he asks, which part of the process gets the most resistance?
Yeah. The biggest resistance is the owner and founder of the business holding on to everything. Okay, it's the owner and founder going, no, I have to do this, only I can do this, only I will do it properly, and letting go of some things. That's where all my NLP behavioral stuff comes in really handy, because I help them understand that actually they will be so much happier, they'll have a much more successful business once they start letting go of things. That's the biggest resistance. It's not the process, it's the person, and they're changing their behavior and belief.
Thanks, Rebecca. Then we've got a question from Aaron. He says, I'm the owner, manager, etc., doing it all as you described. Mm-hmm. And I know, and I would love to do the visionary part. However, it's the cash flow leap of faith that's holding me back in bringing in a manager. Just now, putting me off. Yeah.
Okay. So I want you to do a sum. Okay. I want you to sit down and work out what your time is worth per hour as a CEO and leader of your business. Now, that's not what you're charging per hour. Okay. They're two different things. And what you'll do is and it's not even what you're paying yourself per hour, it's what your time and expertise is worth as a leader of your business. Now that's going to be in the hundreds, okay, per hour, because that expertise, that knowledge, that know-how that sits in your head is worth a lot of money. And then I want you to work out what it would cost for a manager per hour, for some admin support per hour, for whatever it is that you need to get off your desk right now per hour. And I think what you'll find is that you are costing your business a fortune by doing those other things that you shouldn't be doing.
Thank you. So we've got a question from Janice. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on moving from an employee to a business owner entrepreneur mindset?
Okay, well, I don't know whether Janice is already running her own business or is currently employed. I don't know, we'll find that out. So what I'll do, I'll assume that she's running her own business right now and is maybe still thinking in an employee mindset. We'll maybe find out. The first thing to say is a mindset. Absolutely.
Sorry, Rebecca, she is, yes, own business.
She own business, right, okay. So yeah, it is absolutely a mindset. I run when I talk about the 10 steps to a $10 million business, the first step is thinking big, okay? And the reason I put that in as the first step is that often a mindset shift is required for the business owner to stop thinking like an employee and start thinking like a visionary business owner. So what a lot of business owners don't realize is that they can create the business that they want to run. They don't have to follow any kind of previous pattern plan, blueprints. They don't have to do it like anybody else. They don't have to look or sound like anybody else that's gone before. They can do it in their own way. And then suddenly there's a whole load of freedom and liberation in that you can design the business that you want to run. Just had the first cohort go through Thinking Big, and one of the chaps on it said, I've now decided I want my business to look like this, sound like this, and I'm going to have this piece and this piece and this piece. I'm like, great, it's your business. You get to decide what happens in it. You create it for yourself. Without knowing more information, Janice, I hope that helps you kind of make at least part of that shift. I would also recommend on the platform, there's a course called the Entrepreneurial Journey. It's actually free, so you don't need to subscribe. Do that course, and that will help you understand how to make that mindset shift too.
Thanks, Rebecca.
No problem.
I have a question, if I can.
Yeah, fire away.
In terms of the logistics around getting these values done, how does that process work? Who do you approach? How is it done in an impartial and fair way that's kind of market ready?
Yeah, so that, again, a really good question. So traditionally, you have to go to your accountant and pay quite a lot of money, okay? But again, I'm changing that. So we have a business valuation tool, which sadly isn't ready yet, but when it is, and it's probably going to be ready next year, the business owners will be able to value their businesses for free. They'll be able to put in some key information, get a quick valuation back. And the reason I'm building that in to the platform for next year for free is because then you can measure progress. Then you can go, right, well, before I did any of this stuff, my business is worth this. Now I've implemented some of this stuff. Let me value it 6 months, 12 months later and see how far I've come. So at the moment, it's not an easy process and it's quite expensive, but I'm changing that.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
We've got 5 minutes left, so if anyone has any more questions, otherwise, Rebecca, if you have any sort of final thoughts that you wanted to share with everyone before we wrap up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that you're not alone. Okay, so wherever you are at in your business, whatever stage you're at in your business, is the perfect stage for you right now. Okay, and I don't want people to think, oh, I've been doing it wrong, or oh, I'm so bad at this. That's just not true. Okay, you've done really, really well to get you up where you are today, and I want you to look back and measure yourself against yourself over the last 12 months and measure where you were 12 months ago. Just ignore everybody else, ignore the competition, ignore what other people are doing. The most important thing is your own measure of your own self and your own path, if you like, your own journey. Okay, so you're in the perfect place right now. You might think, as I covered, you haven't got time, you haven't got the money to invest. Okay, and I'll go back to that phrase, well, got you to where you are today will definitely not get you to where you want to be. So you're gonna need to start doing something different, whether that's this or something else, doesn't really matter, but you need to start doing something different and thinking about your business in a different way and taking different actions and doing different kinds of decision making. Okay, in order to free up that potential that's in your business. And the last thing to say is that I want all SME business owners to know that you are the backbone of the global economy, and what you do is absolutely essential to the wealth of the planet. Okay, without SME business owners, we don't have a global economy. People think, oh, it's big corporates. It's absolutely not. 98% of the world's business is SME businesses, which outside of the US is counted and under 250,000, no, under 250 million in revenues, sorry. No, sorry, get that wrong. Under 250 employees, get that right. In the US, it's counted, the small to medium-sized businesses counted under 500 employees. So it's so important that you do it. You know you're doing a great job. You employ most people on the planet. You add to the most GDP on the planet. And one of the core reasons I set Tricres up is to support you, because you do such an incredibly important job. And I want to see you grow and realize the fruits of your labor, and enable your teams to grow and fulfill their potential too.
Thank you, Rebecca. We've just got one more question from Kevin before we close. And he wants to know where the valuation platform will be available. Will it be on your website? Do people need to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so tricres.com, okay. Once you're a subscriber, or you go to our Facebook page and like that, everything will be released through the Facebook page or through tricres.com. When we're building an app, again, that'll be ready next year, and everything will be available through that. So at the moment, there's the online courses, and if you want to find out about the webinars and additional group coaching that's going to be on offer, then subscribe and you'll get information on that as it comes out.
Thank you so much. That was I think I probably speak for everyone who attended today, really inspiring. It's fantastic to take the time out of your day just to stop and take stock and realize that there is a different and a better way of doing business, that we can get out this hamster wheel, which can be really exhausting.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing those insights. As Rebecca has said, we are going to be sending that tool, that checklist tool, to everyone who attended today. If you would like it to be, it can be part of the start of a conversation with Rebecca. She has very kindly offered everyone who's joined the webinar today to assist you in working through that. So we will share her contact details in an email after the session. Get in touch, and I would strongly urge you to take advantage of her offer because you know, just looking through it myself, there's so much value that lies in just working through that process. And having Rebecca, you know, kind of guide you through it will just be fantastic. So thank you for your generosity of time, Rebecca. Sorry, I can just see there's one more question that's popped up.
Okay.
Just Tim saying thank you, thought-provoking. Thank you, Tim.
Good, pleasure. Thank you, Tim.
So, as I said, we will be sharing everyone's contact details in terms of the network. I will just quickly share our contact details for whoever would like to get in touch with us. If you're not part of our community already, reach out to us. We would love to connect with you. And I think I will leave it at that. We are 1 minute before 3 o'clock.
Yes.
Very punctual. And yeah, I'm really excited about this journey with Rebecca. I think, you know, there's so much value that you've just started to unpack for us. So
good.
Thank you once again for your time. And I wish you all the very best of luck in embarking on this journey if you wish to do so.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for asking me, and you've been brilliant in helping me get the message out there to Africa and the wider world as well. So thank you very much.
Pleasure. And thanks again to everyone for your time today. Take care, stay safe, and hope to see you soon.
Brilliant. Thanks, everybody. Bye.